All right, welcome to the SnydeReport. I am your host, Gary Snyder. My guest tonight is Montana rancher John Dutton. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, wrong one.
Oh my.
It's Terry Goodin. Terry, do you got a train station out by where you live? You take people?
We have a train station, man, but I don't know if it serves the same purpose as the Dutton train station, right? So, but hey, Gary, good day to you, brother. I hope everything's going well, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on here with you tonight. There's a lot going on as usual, right?
Man, there is so much. I mean, I'm catching it from Republicans. I'm catching it from Democrats, you name it. But tonight I wanted to bring you on, at least to start. I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, and that is you are a cattle rancher. Am I right or am I wrong?
I am a cattle farmer. Yeah, I don't know if you live east of the Mississippi, you can't use the term rancher. That's
Why the hell not?
I don't know.
Who makes that rule? Who says you can't be a rancher if you're east of the Mississippi?
Well, it's common protocol. So you can have a larger cattle farm east of the Mississippi, and then the rancher has in west of the Mississippi, and it's like, okay, so you're a farmer, you're a cattle farmer. So I don't know. It just goes with the language, I guess. It's okay. So
I did not know cattle ranching had their own vernacular.
Every group of farmers, no matter what is, farmers, lawyers, whoever, man, everybody has their own vernacular because at some point there's been some kind of competition go on between the groups. So you had to label them, right?
So chalk this up to something you learn every day, that if you have cattle east of the Mississippi, you're just a farmer. If you're west of the Mississippi, then you get to be a rancher.
Yeah. So now there's a lot of those guys in the Southeast that they'll put ranch beside their farm name and all that.
Do they get like TP'd or something from the actual ranchers? No, is there like a ranch/farmer police that go out and like TP your ranch if you use, or farm if you use ranch?
No, I would hope if they did that at least they'd use Angel Soft, right? So heavenly, right? So, but no, there's no.
People laugh, but us out here in the sticks, we know that it's Angel Soft because of the damn septic.
Right.
You can't use that. You can't use that Charmin shit. You can't use that Kirkland stuff. You've got to use Angel Soft because.
Oh man, see, it's just some of the built-in. That's just some of the built-in. And you could say that's part of the vernacular, right? Being in a rural area, there's certain things that and you don't know why, but I mean, it's like this is just the way it is, right?
All you have to do is have that septic pumped out once, and those guys standing there going, "Got to stop using Kirkland. Got to use Angel Soft."
Right. So So, and by the way, Gary, I really enjoy the setting that you're in. As a matter of fact, when we started the show, I come one hair saying, "Hey, Norman, what's going on?" I mean, honestly, man, it's like Gary in parentheses Norman
Rockwell
Snyder, right?
We've again, Pepper has the whole fireplace mantle, and that's a homemade mantle, I might add.
Oh, nice.
We had the tree cut down next to the house and had a portable sawmill come out and saw it all up, and I had to put it on. My wife is telling me something I can't understand. It was a dead tree. She wanted to make sure it was a dead tree. We do not cut down live trees here at Casa del Snyder.
Hey, but that's okay. But I'm going to be straight with you on this, as I always am. On the farm, we have to cut down trees sometimes. I mean, we do, because trees and fences don't mix, right? Especially with the weather we have, so wind and all that. So we have to cut down, but we have made it a policy a long time ago, before anybody was even called a tree hugger, right? And my dad made it a policy that anytime we ever cut down one live tree, we had to plant two in its place. So and thanks to my dad for that protocol, but he started that way back, and Lord knows nobody ever called him a tree hugger, right? So
we've lived here for 9 years, and we live out in the sticks. We are smack dab in the middle of 2 acres of woods surrounded by cornfields, which they just took down. I
Right.
don't mind the cornfields so much, but man, when they take those bean fields down,
Oh, dusty and dirty, huh?
man. And you
Yeah.
think the woods would stop it, but you can now see our house though from the road.
Oh, wow.
So,
All right.
and then we have we had a very, we'll just say traumatic experience for the dogs and the wife over the last week because we have a big, uh, big walnut tree and one of the big branches hangs out over our house. And
Oh,
when those things hit that metal roof, I'm telling you, the
yeah.
dogs freak
Is
nonstop.
that right? Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's worse than a doorbell on TV.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, Gary, because I was fishing the other day, and where I was fishing is this huge pond or lake, whatever you want to call it, and there was a couple of walnut trees and hickory trees around the edges of it, right, that are
Hmm.
hanging out over it, and you'd hear those and acorns even too.
Yeah.
So you would hear those things dropping in that water here, go plop, plop, plop. You think it was a big fish jumping, man. You turn around, it's like, oh, that's some walnuts, man.
I think tonight I have some hickory burning. I know there was a piece of cherry in there. So yeah, we've got it
That's
all
cool.
burning tonight. And that is real. That is a real fire.
Absolutely. And you know, the most common hickory tree in Indiana, right? The shagbark. So it's like, I get, it's probably a shagbark hickory it's burning in there, right,
It
Gary?
might be. I just
All
know it
right.
was a hickory, a dead hickory.
You're right.
Well, I wanted to get with you tonight because beef prices have been in the news quite a bit lately. You don't have to go to Walmart or you don't have to spend long in Walmart to know that you're paying $20 a pound for a sirloin steak
Right.
or somewhere around that. And beef prices are up. And the president this week said we're going to start buying beef from Argentina. As a cattle farmer, I guess, uh, yeah, farmer, not rancher, cattle
Yeah.
farmer. Tell us about the conditions that economic conditions of being a cattle farmer right now in Donald Trump's 2025, and
Right.
what would Argentine beef coming into the U.S. mean to you?
So there's several different scenarios that happen because number one is, okay, they're saying that the Argentine beef is only 2% of the American beef market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very small portion. But what we've got to remember is this: Argentina beef that's being shipped in here is grass fed. So the quality of the Argentine beef is terrible. You're not going to eat an Argentine steak, right? At the steakhouse. You're not going to do it because the grade would be just awful. You'd start at 7 o'clock and you'd still be chewing it to date, right?
And
So,
grass fed beef versus, and I've experimented, I guess you will, a little
yeah,
bit. That is a completely different beef.
it is. And I'm not saying that it's because they're grass fed, because we have wonderful grass fed beef in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the genetics that is not where it needs to be in South America, not just Argentina. But what happens is this: Argentina now starts selling beef to America. And then all of a sudden, Mexico, which is, and all the other South American countries, which are on Donald's bad list, that have 100% tariffs or whatever they are on these countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can't sell their beef into America because it's like too high, so
Laced
it
with
don't make sense
fentanyl.
to sell it. Yes, it's laced with fentanyl, right? So, but what they do is then is this: they start selling their beef to Argentina. Then Argentina starts turning around and selling it to America. And before you know it, the 2% would go to 4%, would go to 6% to 10% to whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because all these countries would be offloading their beef at a very low price because they can't sell it anywhere else. They'd be offloading it to Argentina, who then would turn around and ship it to America. So really, it's almost like the old saying is the camel getting his nose under the tent. You know, they get their foot in the door, they get their nose under the tent, and then the next thing you know, here we are. Our markets are being flooded with beef, and the prices go down. So that's one argument with the beef market.
Mm-hmm.
But the quality of the Argentine beef, it was just Argentine beef. It really wouldn't have whole a whole lot of impact on the beef market, other than the fact it would lead to other options moving forward, right? So at the end of the day, there's no better quality of beef than American beef. So one of the reasons why we have such a large export market. But what's happened is our export market has shrank around the world because of the tariffs, right? So we all know that scenario. We don't have to go into that. Really, we still sell more beef overseas than we consume in America, but still yet there's a dichotomy there in trade that's really got everything in an imbalance. But what's happened is this: cattle markets run in cycles, right? And it's all about the population of cattle and how many you have. And the law of supply and demand truly worked in the cattle market. So the cattle market's coming off a couple of lean years because of inputs, which is the cost of fertilizers and those things that help the grass grow, right? So all of that combined, the last couple of years and the drought, it's been pretty tough on some cattle farmers. And really this year, cattle prices have been up. So it's been a pretty good year to be a cattle farmer in America. I'm not going to lie about it. It's been really good. But what's happened is this. Now they started talking about importing.
Come on with that Stetson here next.
Yeah. So now they're going to start talking about bringing in importing beef. So the next thing you know, then the market's going to fall because the futures markets will not support what's going on now because they know there's going to be more beef coming into the market. So then that starts that downhill drop again. So it just keeps everything in flux, Gary. And it's a bad idea. It was, okay, I'm just going to say this. I don't ever use this term, but it was just plain stupid that he said what he said. And especially tied in with the $20 billion.
Well, it's up to 40. I don't know if that includes the cattle, but you saw the video of the Argentine bad hair guy, dancing, doing the YMCA. Now, that's probably figuratively and not literally, but we'll try to find it and put it on here so people can see it.
Yeah, please do, because literally their dance is, as you said, is figuratively, but really they're doing the idiot dance, right? And the idiots are Americans at this point. And Donald Trump, basically, because he's the one that's made this deal. But it's like, so 20 billion, like you said, it probably amounts to, at the end of the day, probably more like 40 billion. Yeah, it probably is. So you've got that going on. The Argentinians, so the Chinese quit buying American soybeans, right, because of the tariffs. So guess who they started buying their soybeans from?
Argentina and Brazil.
Yeah, Argentina and Brazil. So now Argentina is taking the American part of the American market of selling their soybeans to China, and then we turn around and say you can sell your beef to America. So here's the dichotomy in all this, Gary.
Argentina first. Make Argentina great again.
Make Argentina great again, right? But here's the dichotomy in this, all right? Trump has been barking down India's back and these other countries' backs for trading with Russia. Okay? China. You need to quit this until they start playing fair, kind of thing. But then all of a sudden, Argentina starts trading with China. Trump cuts the tariffs and starts courting the Argentine president, or whatever he's called down there, the Argentine dictator, whatever it is, I don't know. So now, see the dichotomy in all this, man? So really, and then you throw in the farmers with that. I think really with all of this going on, Gary, I think the one true thing that stands out amongst anything that's happening and what's going on is very, very clear. Donald Trump cares about no one but himself.
And his family, obviously. Yeah, I mean,
cattle farmers are starting to realize that, man. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association, which I'm a member of, Colin Woodall is their president of the association.
Do they make the rules for the ranch versus the farmer?
They're probably the ones that started all that, man, so they can charge more for an advertisement if you call it a ranch, probably, right? So
ranch does sound a lot bigger than a farm.
Yeah. So so all you throw all that the dichotomy of all that together, man, it truly is Trump has no, he has no allies other than himself. So it's maybe this is another one of those chips off the block that says, hey, there's certain people that are going to wake up. But I don't know, because I think what he's done, Gary, I think he's got his followers have kind of got that Stockholm syndrome. They've taken captive and now they're kind of
Patty Hearst. That's reaching
Patty
back.
Hearst. Yeah, I'm going to say that syndrome, but that's the Stockholm syndrome. And it's like, I don't want to use her name, but hey, that's exactly the perfect example. All of a sudden, then they start believing this and they start becoming a part of it, right? And I'm afraid, and then he can pick on them and do whatever he wants. And I think they're in that stage now. I don't know. I mean, It's a big deal for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association to come out against the president, though, Gary, because they have been his number one ally and really that side of the aisle for a long time because of some of the things that party supposedly had done for the beef industry, right?
You know,
So say
when I'm
big.
on social media, and I'm on there quite a bit, and you see a farmer, whether it's a rancher or a farmer, cattle, or maybe soybean farmer or corn farmer, or I'm sure there's some, official language for that. But when I see them crying on camera, it's very hard for me because the first thing I want to ask them, who the hell did you vote for? Who'd you vote for in 2016, 2020, 2024? Because if the answer is Trump, because hey, I'm with Trump on deporting brown people or whatever your reason, don't come crying to me. You deserve everything you get. And I try to be an empathetic person, but it's really, really hard when you know what you're getting, you know what you're voting for. He told you what he was going to do. He has a track record of doing it, and then you're fucking shocked when he does.
Right. Well, the shock factor comes in there like, what? He did that to us? Yeah, he did. And, really, as you talk about farmers or ranchers or whatever you want to say it, call it, Gary, is the fact that just that point, he's deporting all of the ranch workers, all the farm workers, all those folks who go to work every single day. And what really ticks me off is this, man. They're showing up to workplaces, gathering these people.
Churches,
hey, if
schools.
You're going to show up and take people out of the country, go where they're hanging out, supposedly selling drugs or whatever, right? If you go get those people, ship them out first, man, if you're going to do that crap. Don't go get the people who are trying to make an honest living and raise their families and be good stewards of the nation, right?
Well, I've had this discussion with my wife. I don't think that if they said, okay, we're going to go empty the jails out of all the illegals that have felonies.
Right.
No one's going to argue with that.
They say, hey, we'll help you,
You
right?
might have a few on the far left that might, but for the most part, they're okay. But when you're not taking drug dealers and you're taking landscapers or roofers, someone with a family, someone with kids in school, someone that's been part of the community, and you're going and you're walking in there like thugs with your face masks and basically kidnapping people. That's I think a lot of people didn't sign up for that.
Well, they didn't, Gary, and that's the issue. Is like, hey, so they're picking on people that can't fight back once again, right? They're picking on the people that follow the rules to per se. They're working, trying to contribute to the economy, and the farmers have them there working. So that's the impetus of why they're there to begin with, right? They're not in Wisconsin to enjoy the weather if they're from Mexico, right?
It's like they went out and recruited the Proud Boys to run this operation.
Well, and this, I had one of my best friends tell me this. He said, hey, man, he said, this world's backwards. He said, it's kind of upside down. He said, hell, in the old days, the bad guys are the ones that wore the mask, not the good guys, right? So it's like.
Can you hold through a break, Terry?
Absolutely, Norman. Sure will.
You're listening to the Snyde. Okay, John Dutton. You're listening to the Snyde Report. I'm Gary Snyder. We'll be right back.
Washington politicians came to Indiana to get us to cheat and redraw our legislative maps. They want you to spend millions so they can rig the system and silence your voice. Hoosiers play fair. We don't need their meddling. We need our elected officials focusing on what we need most, making our lives better, lowering taxes, and bringing down the cost of energy and groceries. So tell your legislators, don't let Washington insiders rig our elections. Solve real problems and earn our votes.
All right, this is the part of the Snyde Report where we thank our sponsors, and we have a growing list. So let's start with Robin Winston. Robin has been there when we first sent out our first email, 147 subscribers. We're now over 108,000. So thank you, Robin Winston, and helping us get the podcast going in the right direction. Next up is our good friend, former Congresswoman Jill Long Thompson. her book, Across the Aisle, Why Bipartisanship Works for America. Get that anywhere you buy your books. Also, former two-term governor, two-term U.S. Senator Evan Bayh. Evan has been a sponsor of the newsletter, now jumps on board with the podcast. Congressman Andre Carson. Congressman Carson has been there from the start. We're glad to have him over here on the newsletter now. He needs your help to win re-election next year, so make sure you support Congressman Carson. Next up, State Representative Cherish Pryor. Cherish has been there from the start on the newsletter, joining us on the podcast now. So is State Senator Greg Taylor. I want to thank Senator Taylor for all of his support through the years. Next, we have a couple of new sponsors. First up is Indiana Citizen. You want to check out their new project, One Heartbeat Away. Do Christian nationalists have an agenda for Indiana? You know, all you have to do is look at the lieutenant governorship and you can see right away that they do. So thank you, Indiana Citizen. Next up is Jump Laundry. You can visit them at jumplaundry.com. They have home pickup. They do your dry cleaning, wash and fold with, I might add, no judgments, and next day service. So if you're in a crunch for time, you don't want to do your own laundry, get a hold of Jump Laundry at jumplaundry.com or at 317-740-5011, and they will take care of all of your laundry needs.
Hey, I'm Bo Bai. I'm a 7th-generation Hoosier, and I served our country as a captain in the United States Marine Corps. And now, I'm running to be our Secretary of State, to take on a corrupt office and fix a broken political system that doesn't serve us. The Secretary of State's office is exactly what's wrong with our politics. Instead of serving Hoosiers, that office has been used to cut backroom deals with our tax dollars, handing out perks to politicians and their insider friends. Hoosiers work hard for our money. It's being wasted. There's no accountability. We deserve a Secretary of State that works for the people, not himself. So here's my plan. First, accountability for every tax dollar. I'll call out corruption, wasteful spending, and government abuse wherever we find it. Second, I'll oppose taxes that are crushing working families. Third, I'll make sure elections are secure and fair. Fourth, I'll support thousands of new businesses that create jobs and fuel our economy. I'll serve just one group, you, the people, and I'll have one goal, the common good. I know what we're up against. The Secretary of State has a pretty good thing going for himself and his buddies. They won't give that up easily. But I'm a Marine, and we don't run from a fight. We're all sick of self-serving politicians dividing us for their own benefit. Enough already. It's time to come together and focus on what unites us, our families, our faith, and our future. I was raised to believe public service is actually about serving the public, not your party, and certainly not yourself. So I'm calling all Hoosiers, of any political party, join me. And together, we'll fix this mess. And the politicians in Indianapolis who forgot who they work for, bring it on.
Fort Wayne's National Award-winning Top Haunt to open now through the first weekend of November with Blackout the last weekend, but you will save time and money buying the RSVP timed tickets online. Hysterium.com.
Welcome back to the Snyde Report. I am your host, Gary Snyder. With me tonight is cattle farmer. See, I got that. I got the notes.
You did.
I got the memo.
You did.
Terry Goodin.
Yeah.
Tonight we have learned the difference between a ranch, a cattle ranch, and a cattle farm. For those of you who did not know that.
Right. Right.
Terry, just to close things out on the beef, you're a cattle farmer. Gee, I'll mess that up again. You're a cattle farmer. What's the outlook for you and for farmers and ranchers across the U.S.? Because as a consumer, they're starting to sell the mix of beef and pork.
Right.
Because it's $2 or $3 a pound cheaper.
Right.
because $4 a pound versus $7,
Right.
just for ground beef,
Right.
or the ground beef mix. You've got, I mean, a New York strip or a ribeye steak now runs you almost $20 a pound at the Walmart. We're not talking your local butcher shop. We're talking the
Right.
Walmart. So, our price is going to stay high. Are we going to be flooded with Argentine beef? And are we going to see cattle farmers and ranchers hitting the train station for verbal?
Right. So really, bottom line, Gary, and you pointed it out here, and is the simple fact that right now, so you have row croppers, farmers, ranchers who farm crops, right? Corn, soybeans,
They're called
whatever
row
the
croppers?
row croppers. In other words, they plant rows of food, or they
Damn.
plant rows. So they're row croppers.
I have
All right.
I have a farmer friend across the street, and he's never mentioned that to me.
Yeah, he's a row cropper.
Well, he has pigs too. He has a bunch of pigs.
Well, he's a hybrid then, right? He can be either one he wants to be. He can be whatever the season is, right?
Right.
So at the slaughterhouse, he's a pig farmer, and in the fall right now when he's harvesting, he's a row cropper.
I did not know that term, but thank you.
Yeah. So right now, if you're raising beef, as you said, the market's up, so beef is high. We know that. But I always heard that the cure for high prices is high prices, right? So I think what's happened there is the market will manipulate itself and start working lower. I will tell you right now that the price of beef at whatever pinnacle it gets to here will come down, because it's just the market, okay? What's going to happen is this. Once again, the reasoning why you're hearing more imports of beef, okay, it's not going to impact this. Argentine beef is not going to impact the price you're going to pay for a steak in the grocery store. Okay. But what it would impact is the price you're going to buy a hamburger for at McDonald's, or I buy a hamburger for somewhere else, because it's that quality of beef. It's going to all be ground up into hamburger at this point, right?
Okay.
If it's just Argentine beef. So really what that tells me is this: Donald Trump's getting guff from the McDonald's and the Wendy's and the Hardee's of the world, right? Those large corporations who are saying, hey, man, we can't afford to buy ground beef and keep our hamburgers at a certain price. So that's who he's hearing from about beef prices. And that's who he's concerned about. Okay. So if he was really concerned about beef prices, he would look at the whole realm of who's impacted. And right now it's the big businesses that he's worried about, and they're the ones impacted the most.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, there's a lot, it's kind of late at night. And so we need to kind of stick to a couple of subjects, and if I have the video, I'll be showing it while I'm talking to you about this. But what are your thoughts as you watch videos, TV, Facebook, social media of the White House being torn down?
Well, here's what it is. It's Melania saying, let them eat cake, right? Because that's what's going on in America right now, Gary. The ultra rich are getting richer, okay? And the working class is continuing to get poorer, right? Or not making any gains. All the economic statistics tell us that. And Indiana particularly is a bigger part of that. Our stats are even worse than national stats, right? So it's really the ultra rich who live in their own world, like the Trumps and those people who are helping build this ballroom, right?
I heard someone say, well, taxpayers aren't paying for it. Trump is. No, Trump is not. Billionaires are paying for it.
Right.
And they are going to want something in return. And that will indirectly affect taxpayers.
Well, thank you, Gary, because you can say it much more succinct than I can. I was getting to that point, the fact that here's the deal. Yeah, so they're supposedly no taxpayer money, but it's all taxpayer money, because here's the deal. Those billionaires who are using this money to give to the White House ballroom construction, guess what they get to do with the amount of money they get to write off? They get to write all that off, right? And it's tax money that they got from legislation, right? It's money they received from legislation because they didn't pay taxes to begin with, that they're giving to the White House reconstruction. Then they get to turn around and write that off on their taxes. So yeah, Gary, you, me, Pepper, we're all working class people will be paying for this renovation, whether they believe it or not. They will be. And the bottom line is this. It's a time when we're in economic distress, right? The tariffs and all that's going on is causing big trouble. And they are brazen enough, arrogant enough to talk about building a $400 million ballroom. All right. When other folks can't afford to buy a hamburger, as you said, you can't afford to buy the hamburger to put in your helper, man.
You
But you
literally
can't do
you cannot make hamburger helper for under $10 now.
You cannot. And for people, working people, to suffer like that through that, and for those billionaires and multimillionaires that are donating, and the president that's living there, to throw that in people's faces saying, we're building a $400 million ballroom, poo on you, go eat cake. That's just the dichotomy that we're living in. And at some point, people got to realize, wait a minute, man, this is not right. This isn't
But
right.
just the optics. I mean, literally, and maybe I took a little bit of flack over this earlier, but Donald Trump is finishing what the 9/11 hijackers couldn't.
I saw that, man. That was a pretty strong statement, man. It really was, right?
I mean,
Yeah, you're looking at a historical. The White House, it's historical. The East Wing. I'm a historian, right? So don't nail me down on this if it's a wrong year or two. Give me a year or two, but I think so that the East Wing was built in 1902, somewhere in that range, right? And then so we're looking at
and it was an act of Congress that
yes,
and it was taxpayer money. You know, I heard someone make the argument that maybe taxpayers should foot the bill for this. If it's worth doing, it should be passed by Congress, and it should be taxpayer funds that do it. So it's the people's house, not Google's house or Amazon.
Here's the deal, Gary. At the end of the day, okay. Now there's a reason why, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist that anybody can tell you that, but there's a reason why that he's tearing down this East Wing, other than just the arrogance part, because he can, right? He's doing it because he can. Well, really, he's supposed to have submitted all this information, all the paperwork to have it done, and he's still not presented that.
And the video of him saying it'll be by the East Wing. It won't.
Right.
And he's tearing down the whole damn thing.
Every bit of it's coming down. For that to take place, Gary, it's just a slap in the. It's just another step toward dictatorship, right? That's those things that these guys did in these banana republics back in the 80s and 90s, and these oil sheiks did out in the Middle East. And he's just following their pathway. Hey, wake up, America. It's time to wake up and realize that the guy in the White House wants to be a dictator. He don't have he don't be anything, and he's fooling people. He's a snake oil salesman, right?
I want to get your thoughts real quick, because as we're talking right now, there was a story that came out that the Indiana Republican-controlled supermajority Senate currently does not have the votes to pass their new gerrymandered 9-0 Republican new congressional district maps. I don't believe it. I think it will pass. I think this was a warning shot across the bow of some of these on-the-fence Republicans. They will all fold faster than a rusty lawn chair.
They all do.
And it will be passed. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are this. We've been talking about farmers right now. I've talked to my farmer friend, okay? And he says that it now costs him more money to plant a bushel of soybeans than what he makes on that soybeans, and corn as well. So the inputs are costing more than what they're reaping in the harvest, right?
Right.
So I would think that the Indiana legislature would convene and talk about, how are we going to support farmers, farm families? How are we going to continue to support our the rural parts of our state, instead of trying to figure out how we can get more delegates or more congressmen in Congress so they can pass more laws that's going to impact the farmers in a more negative way. It's just complete and total arrogance, Gary. And I'm like you, if they don't get the numbers to be able to convene and have this done, you'll have to get a fan and wake me up. I'll be passed out.
It's going to happen. I think it's all a smoke screen.
Right.
And, with everything that's happening,
right.
People losing health care, prices going up. You can go down, rural hospitals closing. They want to focus on, redistricting, which it won't make a hill of difference in the end. It might, instead of Democrats having a 20-seat majority, maybe it's 18.
Right.
But they want to focus on that and mocking their disabled constituents that attend rallies, and they want to do all this stuff. When I just want to close with this, while we all know Trump is in the Epstein files.
We all know that Trump is in the Epstein files. You're exactly correct.
There's a cute little song going around too on like TikTok, and
Is that right?
it is social media video brilliance.
Right.
So maybe I'll play that here at the end if I can find it. But
Well,
it's just the greatest.
it's just so frustrating, Gary, because there's people who are struggling and people who are hurting. Government's supposed to be there to give a hand up, right? Give a hand up, help lift people up so they can get on their own. And it's not there to pull the rug out from underneath people. And right now, government's pulling the rug out from underneath people, right?
Yeah.
It's working families, it's the farmers. And it's like, at what point is there no rug anymore, right? I mean, I think we've really got to that point. I don't know how much they can tax working people more. I don't know how much more they can raise prices to it's
Don't say that, because, when you always say it can't get worse, reality smacks you right in between the eyes with a 2x4.
Well, I do this. I mean, as I said before, I'm a history guy, right? And I challenge folks to read the history from the early 90s into where the stock market crashed and the American economy went into the Depression. I would challenge folks to just do a quick glance and overlook of that history economically and how that completely parallels what the government is doing now.
And we're working on a guest, and I'll just say that we're working on one. But Andrew Ross Sorkin from CNBC has a great book out called 1929.
Oh, wow. I have not seen that, but I will definitely.
I got it in the mail because I am a distinguished member of the press, and I asked for it.
Nice.
But the similarities of what happened in 1929 and where we are at now are eerily similar.
Very similar. I mean, and it started out the same way, right? By villainizing immigrants. At that time, it was the Irish, right? It was the Irish and the Italians. So you start out by just villainizing. The next thing you know, you start inching up the cost of folks, and then they start blaming, the scapegoats, the immigrants or whoever they are. It's so, why do people have to go into so much pain to finally realize that they're being cooked, right? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all, man. But yeah, I've got to find that book, Gary. That sounds very interesting.
I saw, and I forget who said this, but he was making the case not to mock MAGA right now, especially the ones that are finally seeing the light. And he used the analogy that, they've been lied to. If your neighbor's house was robbed, you wouldn't go over and start laughing at them, going, "Ha, your house was robbed. I told you so. You should have locked that door." You want to help them. But man, that takes maybe more character than I have right now.
Well, I don't, Gary, I think you could be very vile. I know you, right? So my hat's off to you for your civility, man. I mean, because you're in neck deep in all this, right? You're the one
I'm literally, and I know our good friend Robin tells me this all the time, and I'm always hesitant to I don't know, acknowledge it. But right now, the SnydeReport, the SnydeReport podcast, SnydeReport radio, we are the Democrat message right now. Period.
You are the voice. You are the voice.
We
man.
reach more. We reach more Democrats, more people. Let's just say people every day than most media sources.
Right.
So,
well, and that's why I said, Gary, I appreciate you, man. I think you do a great job, and you're more civil than honestly than I would probably be. And I try to, I try to keep a level head. But at the end of the day, people are people, and as you said, they've been lied to, right? So you want to try to help. Okay, how can I help you come out of this lie, right? You've been in a cult, and you've got to be, you've got to have some remediation here, and you've got to have some help to try to get away from that addiction that you were a part of. And it truly is an addiction for those folks, and they've sold their soul to MAGA, and it's like they're hanging on and hanging on. And I think, tell me, Gary, could there be any more people that are more disappointed in life than those people?
Not that I've met.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously,
you
not that
really
I've met.
think about it. Yeah. I mean, the ones who were the true believers and the ones who were really sold into this, hey, he's going to make a difference and he's going to treat, we're finally voice, and he didn't.
He grifted you. He took your money. He fed you a line of bullshit that you've tried to feed us. And
right.
It's unfortunate, but hopefully they will start seeing the light. And again, I'm asked almost daily by our mutual friend, what's it going to take? What's it going to take for white Indiana or rural voter to move on? And my answer every single time is someone like Terry Goodin. And so no pressure, Terry.
No, I hear you. Thank you. So I appreciate the confidence. And, as we kind of move forward, it's one of those deals where you try to make sure that you do good for everyone. And everyone means those people who don't even like you, right?
Yep.
And they don't even support you. But you still got to do good for those folks because they're humans and that's human nature. We've got to move forward and we've got to make things better for the next generation. So that's what we've got to be focused on, is not just today's generation. We got to make life better for those folks who come after us, right? And this group that's in charge now could care less about what's going to happen after they leave. They don't care.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate you, brother. And I love the setting. Once again, it's calm and relaxing. And maybe that's why you don't get very irate, because you're in such a calm setting, man. So you've got it there. You've got the aura of just calmness and civility, right?
I am Gary Snyder. He is not John Dutton either. He's Dr. Terry Goodin. This is the Snyde Report. Stay Snyde. We are out.
Thanks, Gary. See you, everyone.